G'day, quick video today on how to fit factory style fender flares to an N70 Hilux. So N70 2005 to 2015. This is the facelifted model, so this is late 2011 onwards. These guards will not fit the pre-facelift, that's 05 to mid 2011. But the system is the same largely. So what you do on the 05 to 11 will be largely the same as the 11 to 15, but just be aware, the facelift did involve changing the fender style and they won't fit. So if you want to fit, there's a lot of fenders on the market that you want to put flares on. A lot of them will just be screw in. The screws will be from the exterior of the flare out here and you'll just screw them into the fender itself. Alternatively, there's some styles that will have adhesive tape on them, and you'll attach them underneath in the standard spot. But on the outside, so you'll screw them here, but on the top they're just glued on, and that's the only thing that holds them on. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There's different styles, but this is talking about like an SR5 style, factory style replacement. How do you fit them? And the reason that this video exists is because there's plenty of people that will sell you one of these flares, and the issue is not the flare. I found the quality acceptable, but it's, do you get instructions? And the case in every example that I've been able to find is no, you don't get instructions. So you'll get a bunch of clips and you'll get some rubber stripping, and it'll be up to you to figure it out. So your rubber stripping, nice and easy, it goes on the top lip there. What I do, get some quick drying adhesive and I just use it to glue it in place. It has a thick edge and a long edge. It's kind of a V shape, but there's a short edge and a long edge. The long edge I've glued on the inside, so that'll go up against the panel itself, and the thin edge will go along the outside. That's how I put it on, just a thin layer of just some quick drying adhesive, like a super glue type product you could use. Anything that's acceptable for rubber and plastic. Clean the surface first, with some Prepsol wax and grease remover or something. Clean that surface, just a very, very thin bead along there. I just did it in sections at a time, started at this end and just slowly worked my way back and glued a bit. You basically hang it over the edge, the long edge on the inside, the short edge hanging over, and then just work your way back all the way down to here, cut it to length, fairly simple. Then you'll get some clips. In this kit you've got blue ones and you've got orange ones. You should be able to figure out where they go based on the size and orientation of the holes in the fender and how many clips you get. So for example, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in total in the pack, you've got 12 of these blue clips, and there's 12 of these rectangle holes that are all identical. So suffice it to say, that's where they go. And then you've just got to make sure the orientation of the clip is right in the hole. And in this case, they can only go in one way because they're loose one way and they clip in the other way. So nice and simple. And then you've got a couple of these orange ones which go in the square holes, which are here. Okay, so there's one here and then there's one at the other end, and then they go the other way around and clip into the fender when you push it on. So, but there is a couple of things you will need that don't come in the kit. Everything you need to mount the fender, not exactly. So there's a couple of things that you'll need. Okay, here we are. We've got the fender off, as you can see. We've removed that 10mm bolts along here, 10mm bolt here. Open the door up and you can get to the 10mm bolt in here, and then there's one down here. If you've got side skirts, probably loosen your bolts, or side steps, loosen your bolts and then just let that hang down so you can get access to your bolt in there. And then you've got your mud flap screws. Take them off, take your mud flap off. You're going to need to change your mud flap if you've got a non-flared model and you're going to flares. But then you've got these clips that hold the fender on, okay? And they're a little tricky to get out. And you shouldn't break them. If you know what you're doing, you shouldn't break them. but the first one I got out, the first time I tried to remove a fender, I busted the clip getting it out. And then once I actually looked up how to take them out, they're actually quite straightforward. I haven't broken one since, so touch wood, I don't break anymore. But you're gonna need some extras. So the ones that you pull out of the car are gonna be insufficient to do the job if you don't have flares, because there's a square in the bottom of the flare under here. And you need to, so what you do is you push that into the fender, push that into the square hole at the bottom of the fender next to the screw that goes into the bodywork. It points up towards the car, and you've got to push that into the fender before you mount the flare. And then you've got to get one of these little screws. It's the same type of screw that comes out of your mud flap. And then that screws through the flare into that plug, grommet, whatever you want to call it, that's in your fender, okay? So you'll need another one of those. You'll need 2 more of those, and you'll need a bunch more of these. You'll need 2 more of these, and you'll need a bunch more of these. I apologize. So where these sit is they're all along here, all along the inside of the fender, and they are pointing up. So they'll go through your inner guard into the fender, and it holds your inner guard to the fender, and they just clip in. They've got a square plug, and they've got 2 little tugs on opposite ends, on kind of on the diagonal across the square. And what you need to do is you need to get your screwdriver. Where's my screwdriver? There we go. And you'll want another little tool like this or something. I should have a screwdriver here. Where's my screwdriver? I've kicked it away or something somewhere. So what you want to do is you want to lever that, lever your fender down. So you'll put your screwdriver between your fender, careful not to scratch your paint, and then just pull it down, pull your inner guard down, and you want to see where these little tugs are. I'll show you that. See the little tugs there on this. There's one on that side there and that side there, and you've just got to push them in. So you'll pull that down and you'll see these sticking through like that, and then you've got to find where the tug is, and it'll be on one of the corners of one of the corners of the plug facing out to the car. We'll have the retainer on it, and you just push it in, and then it'll pop down. You just push it down and kind of lever it as best as you can, and it'll pop. It'll create a big gap. It'll start to come out, but you won't be able to get behind it. So then I've used a hook tool, just like a little pick. You could use just a bit of flat metal that's strong enough, that's on a right angle, and that's in there like that. And then while you've got your screwdriver pushing from this side, just reach in behind it and then pull towards you. Again, it's on the diagonal. Remember, it's on the diagonal, so it's the opposite side of the square to wherever you've got your screwdriver pushing. And then just pull that back towards you, and it'll pop out. It's actually pretty simple. If it's really difficult and you're pulling and pulling and pulling, you're not depressing the tab in the right spot. That's your problem. They should pop out pretty easy. All I've had to do is just, what I'll be doing, if it won't come out, I'll be pulling on the wrong side, and I know I've either got it, I'm either pulling on the flat side, not on the corner, or I'm pulling on the wrong corner. So just pull and push it the other side, and you're kind of pulling down on the inner guard, and it'll just pop straight out. They're actually not that hard to get out once you know what you're doing. So you'll need 2 more of these, because one has to go under here for you to screw your factory fender into. But these little screws here, so you'll know what these are. They're a 10mm head with also a Phillips head drive on it. And there's 3 of them in your mud flaps, right? So you undo those 3 out of your mud flaps, and these will be behind them. What they do is they both hold your inner guard to your fender, and it's got a hole in the middle that allows your 10mm head screw to screw into that. And in this case, it holds your mud flaps on, but over this part of it, it also holds your flares on, because there's little tabs that hold your flares on. So if you don't have these screws, when you put the flares on, they won't be attached. So that's what these are designed to do. These little square plugs They can be called liner clips, fender inner guard clips. What is Toyota? I'll give you the part number. So there's a whole bunch of different part numbers for these little plugs from Toyota. You can buy a generic version. They're about 2 centimeters long. The part number here, they are 90189-06220. That's 90189-06220. That's it there. So they come in a pack of 10. You won't need the 10 unless you've broken a few getting them out. But that's the only 2 there that you'll need. But these here, you can buy these from whatever your local parts reseller, Auto Pro, Repco, Auto Barn, Super Cheap. Champion make them, but you can also buy them genuine in packs of 10 from Toyota, which in my experience is cheaper, and you can buy them generic as well. So they're a fairly standard automotive screw. But because you'll be taking 3 of them out of your mud flaps, you will have them, so you can take them into your Toyota dealer or your local parts reseller, and you can show them exactly what you need so they can give you the replacement part that you need. Okay. So when it comes to mount the fender, you'll mount the fender. Put that plug in it, in the bottom. Click, put that in. Have all your clips in the fender flare ready to go. Mount the fender first. Okay. So as I said, you want to have, if you've got side steps, you want to loosen them off and just at least let them hang down a little bit to give you a bit more room, because you've got to get a 10mm screw under there, and you've got to get the bolt back in there. You'll need to get this one out, to get the bolt that goes in here. It goes behind your fender flare. You can push the inner guard out of the way to get it out. There is another clip, one of these little square clips in here, further in the fender, which holds the inner guard to the car. I would suggest taking that out. I wouldn't take the whole inner guard out, but I would take that one out just because it's going to make it easier for access, okay? So I'd take that out, and then you can bend this right out of the way to get that bolt in. So mount your fender, bolt, 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 bolt. Bolt that on, and then you can put, and you'll want to put your liner clips, liner grommets in. Boom, bang, 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 bang. Put all them in. Then with your clips on your fenders and your rubber strip mounted, you can push that on. It'll clip into place. If you've got it lined up right, it'll clip into place and you'll know it's in the right spot. So clip, 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 clip. Should be all straightforward. Then you'll get your additional screws with 10mm head. One of them goes under there, and then they just go bang, 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 bang. You'll see there's holes and little tags. Now what you want to do when you put the fender flare on, you can get those little, some of them are kind of bendable. Some of them are fixed, but some of them are bendable. And what you can do is when you push it on, you can have, if that little lip is pointing up, when you push it on, it will get stuck under the between the fender and the fender flare, and it's not available for you on this side to screw it in. So make sure they're all down. So when you put them on, they're all on this side, the inner side of the inner guard, and then you can screw them all down, and you'll be fine. So it's not a really complicated process, but you will need some of these. That's probably your hardest job, pulling these out. And I've got a separate video on how to get them out if this description wasn't good enough. So, but that's how you do it. You will need a couple of extra pieces. The descriptions on your Amazon, eBay, or whatever reseller listing is probably lying to you. All the parts are included. Well, no, actually they're not. There's a couple of extra bits that you need, and you'll need the fender, unless you want to drill holes and try and get them so that they'll accept the square plugs, because there's no mounting, there's no, what would you say, no mounting template, so you can't lay it over the lid and drill the holes out and then try and make them square. None of that exists. So that makes it pretty difficult. So what I've done is I actually bought the flare. Now also, if you're putting a SR5 fender with the flares on an N70 SR, just be aware that the SR5s in the facelifted didn't have an indicator, okay, in the guard. So most fenders that you'll find with the holes for the flares, they don't have an indicator hole. and that's because the SR5s had an indicator in the mirror, so they didn't need an indicator here. So you're either going to have to drill a hole and put an aftermarket indicator there, or you're going to have to try and drill a hole and make it take the factory indicator that you pull off your old guard, or try and track down, like I did. I did find a reseller that did fender flares, fenders that take the factory flares with the hole for the indicator pre-drilled. Okay, so if you do it that way, it's really simple. You just pop the indicator out, put it into your new fender, mount it on, nice and simple. So that's what I'd recommend to do. But there was only one reseller I found that actually had that hole there. So, and then that just clips in. If you want the full SR5 effect, you're going to have to get the additional mirrors as well, but I didn't choose to do that. So there's a few notes to mount factory SR5 style flares on your N70 Hilux. The instructions for this will largely work with the pre-facelifted version. It's just that the fenders are a little different, but the process is largely the same. Hope that was useful for you. Thanks for watching.